Have you ever noticed how a urinary tract infection has the power to turn even the simplest days into true torment? All it takes is that burning sensation while urinating, that uncomfortable pain in the lower abdomen, or the constant feeling of a full bladder for everything to change. Those who have gone through it know it's not just physical discomfort, it's also anxiety, worry, and even fear of when the next crisis will arrive. The most frustrating part is that many times a person treats it, takes medication, does tests, and yet the infection comes back. It's like an endless cycle that wears down both body and mind. And at that moment, an inevitable question arises. Isn't there a simple, natural, and effective way to protect yourself before the crisis begins? The answer may be much closer than you think, right inside your own kitchen, in something you probably already consume, but maybe never connected to the health of your bladder. I'm talking about specific fruits, studied by science and recognized for their beneficial effects on the urinary system. They are not just tasty or nutritious. They contain nutrients, fibers, antioxidants, and properties that act directly on strengthening the bladder and preventing inflammation. That's what we're going to talk about today. The 5 most powerful superfruits for preventing urinary tract infections. And don't think these are rare or hard-to-find foods. On the contrary, many of these fruits are accessible, inexpensive, and easy to include in your daily life. The real difference lies in understanding how they work in the body and how they can become your greatest allies against the bacteria that insist on attacking your bladder. If you've ever suffered from a urinary tract infection, you know how desperate it feels to live with this silent threat. That's why, in the next few minutes, we'll discover together how small dietary choices can bring real and lasting protection to your urinary health. Before we dive into the superfruits, I need your help. This channel is growing, and our goal now is to reach 1,000 subscribers so I can continue bringing you quality content about urinary health. So, subscribe down below and leave your comment. I've already suffered from a urinary tract infection. I need at least 100 comments for YouTube to deliver this video to more people who are living with the same problem as you. Now, let's get straight to the point. Urinary tract infection is one of the most common conditions, especially among women, but don't think men are immune. This inflammation can affect anyone at any age, and its impact is immediate. Pain while urinating, pressure in the lower abdomen, urgency to run to the bathroom all the time, and in some cases, even fever and general malaise. And what most people don't know is that the problem goes far beyond momentary discomfort. When repeated, urinary tract infections can weaken the bladder, increase the risk of kidney complications, and create a real dependency on antibiotics. Not to mention the emotional toll. Living in fear of the next crisis causes anxiety, limits social life, and even affects intimacy. What makes this condition even trickier is the cycle. You treat it once, feel better, but after a few weeks or months, there it is again. And this is precisely where the main point of this video comes in: prevention. If you've suffered before, you know it's much better to avoid the crisis than to deal with the symptoms later. And the good news is that prevention can lie in something simple, accessible, and natural: your diet. When we talk about urinary infection, most people immediately think of medicine, antibiotics, painkillers, miracle teas, all to put out the fire of pain as quickly as possible. But what many people forget is that bladder health doesn't just depend on emergency treatment, but on what you do every single day. And that's where diet comes in as the central piece of prevention. What you put on your plate can strengthen or weaken your urinary system. That's because food has the power to change the pH of urine, increase or reduce inflammation in the body, improve immunity, and even make it harder for bacteria that cause infection to stick. Think about it. If your body is the soil, food is the type of ground you provide. A fertile ground for bacteria, or a hostile environment that keeps them from multiplying. For example, a diet rich in fruits with antioxidant and diuretic properties helps to wash the urinary tract, reduce bladder inflammation, and maintain a constant flow of natural cleansing. On the other hand, when the diet is poor in nutrients, full of processed foods, sugars, and bad fats, the body becomes vulnerable. In this scenario, all it takes is a drop in immunity or a small slip for a urinary tract infection to appear. Another important point is hydration. There's no use eating powerful fruits if you don't give your body enough water to work with. Water is the base that allows the nutrients from these fruits to circulate and have the desired effect. Without it, even the best food loses its power. That's why, before revealing which are the 5 superfruits that best protect the bladder, it's essential to understand this. There is no isolated miracle. What does exist is a conscious eating lifestyle, where each fruit, each choice, builds a stronger body. When we talk about urinary tract infection, the first thing that comes to mind is how to prevent bacteria from settling in the bladder. And here comes a fruit that many people love, but perhaps have never linked to urinary health: the purple grape. Small, sweet, easy to eat, and with a huge power to protect your body. The secret lies in the skin. Purple grapes are extremely rich in resveratrol, a natural antioxidant that helps fight silent inflammations in the body, including in the bladder. These inflammations, when persistent, leave the body more vulnerable and open the door for bacteria like the dreaded E. coli, the main culprit behind urinary tract infection crises. By consuming purple grapes regularly, you strengthen your natural defenses, creating an environment less favorable for these bacteria to multiply. In addition, grapes are fruits with a high water content, which already contributes indirectly to prevention. After all, the more hydrated your body is, the more urine it produces, and the more times you're able to wash your urinary tract, making it harder for bacteria to stay. It's as if every glass of water and every handful of grapes helped keep your bladder clean. Another important point is improved blood circulation. Resveratrol also works by protecting blood vessels and favoring the oxygenation of tissues. It may seem like a detail, but good circulation is essential for the bladder and the entire urinary system to receive the nutrients and energy they need to stay healthy and ready to react in the face of a threat. And there's no need to complicate things. Purple grapes can be eaten fresh, in fruit salads, natural juices, or even frozen as a quick snack. The only important thing is to prioritize the in natura version without added sugar so that the benefits are real. In summary, including purple grapes in your daily life is not just a tasty choice, it's a natural prevention strategy against urinary tract infection, helping to reduce inflammation, improve hydration, and strengthen your body's defenses. If there is one fruit everyone knows, and that's present on most family tables, it's the orange. But what many people don't realize is that it goes far beyond being just refreshing or a source of daily energy. The orange can be a true ally when it comes to preventing urinary tract infection. The secret of the orange lies in its very high concentration of vitamin C. This nutrient is a powerful antioxidant and plays a fundamental role in urinary health. It helps slightly acidify the urine, creating a hostile environment for the bacteria that try to settle in the bladder. In addition, vitamin C strengthens the immune system, increasing the body's ability to react when these bacteria appear. It's as if every slice of orange were an extra reinforcement for your natural defenses. Another important point is the presence of fiber, which regulates intestinal function. It may seem like a small detail, but constipation is a risk factor for urinary tract infection, since it increases pressure on the bladder and makes it easier for bacteria from the intestinal region to move into the urinary tract. By keeping the intestines functioning well, the orange indirectly helps reduce this risk. And we can't forget the hydration factor. Since it's made up mostly of water, the orange also helps increase urine production, aiding that natural cleansing of the urinary tract. In other words, in addition to strengthening from within, it also helps eliminate residues and bacteria more quickly. The best part is that oranges are practical. You can eat them whole, drink natural juice, preferably without sugar, use them in fruit salads, or even use the zest and juice to season salad. Unlike lemon, which is more acidic, the orange wins people over with its sweet, pleasant flavor, making daily consumption easier. In summary, Including oranges in your routine is not only a way to have more energy and vitality, it's also a simple, accessible, and effective strategy to keep your urinary health on track, strengthen the bladder, and reduce the chances of facing new infection crises. The apple is one of those fruits that seem too simple to hold any special secret. After all, who doesn't have an apple in their kitchen? But it's precisely in this simplicity that its strength lies, especially when we talk about urinary health and the prevention of urinary tract infection. The main highlight of the apple is pectin, a soluble fiber that helps regulate the intestine. And you might be wondering, what do the intestines have to do with the bladder? More than you think. Intestinal constipation, in other words, when the intestines don't work properly, increases pressure on the bladder and makes it easier for intestinal bacteria to come into contact with the urinary tract. In other words, if your intestines aren't doing well, your bladder suffers. And this is where the apple becomes an indispensable ally. In addition, apples are rich in antioxidants, which reduce inflammation in the body. And as we've already said, inflammation is fertile ground for bacteria to settle. By consuming apples regularly, you create a more balanced internal environment, less favorable to the appearance of urinary infections. Another point that often goes unnoticed is hydration. Apples have a high water content, helping to keep the body hydrated and stimulating healthy urine production. This extra production works like a natural wash of the urinary tract, flushing out bacteria before they have a chance to multiply. And there's more. Apples are affordable, cheap, and practical. They can be eaten raw, in fruit salads, baked, in natural juices, or even added to teas. Unlike other fruits that require preparation, an apple just needs to be washed and eaten, which greatly increases the chances of you actually including it in your daily life. When we think of fruits that stand out for their flavor and vibrant color, the strawberry is certainly at the top of the list. But what you may not know is that this delicate and seemingly innocent fruit can be a powerful ally in the fight against urinary tract infections. Strawberries are extremely rich in vitamin C, one of the most important vitamins when it comes to strengthening the immune system. And why is this so relevant? Because good immunity acts as a natural barrier against the bacteria that try to invade the urinary tract. When your body is strong, the chances of bacteria settling in the bladder drop drastically. In addition, strawberries contain bioactive compounds called polyphenols, which have anti-inflammatory and antioxidant effects. They help reduce silent inflammations, the kind you don't even notice, but which create a more vulnerable environment for bacteria. By including strawberries in your routine, you help keep the bladder less inflamed and better protected. Another interesting point is that strawberries have a high water content, also working as a hydrating fruit. And as we already know, the more urine the body produces, the more the urinary tract is flushed, eliminating bacteria before they have time to multiply. It's as if each strawberry were a small ally helping with the natural cleansing of your bladder. But here's an important warning. Strawberries should be consumed naturally, fresh, and well-washed. Often, we find them in industrialized versions with sugar, jams, and syrups that end up canceling out the benefits of the fruit and even harming urinary health. Choose fresh strawberries in natural juices, smoothies, fruit salad, or even plain as a quick snack. Mango is one of the most beloved tropical fruits in Brazil. Sweet, juicy, full of flavor. But what few people imagine is that it can also be a great ally in preventing urinary tract infections. And it's not just about the pleasure of eating it. Mango carries nutrients that act directly on strengthening your urinary health. To begin with, it is extremely rich in vitamin A and vitamin C. Together, these two form a powerful combination. Vitamin C strengthens the immune system and creates a hostile environment for bacteria, while vitamin A helps regenerate mucous membrane, including the bladder lining. In other words, in addition to making it harder for bacteria to settle, mango also helps keep the bladder lining healthy and protected. Another fundamental point is its fiber. Like the apple, mango supports proper bowel function. And as we already know, constipation can increase the risk of urinary infection because it puts pressure on the bladder and makes it easier for intestinal bacteria to come close. By consuming mango regularly, you promote regulated bowel function, reducing this risk in a simple and natural way. And let's not forget hydration. Mango is made up largely of water, helping the body maintain a good urinary flow. This means that by enjoying a mango, you're also helping to wash your urinary tract, eliminating impurities and bacteria that could otherwise lead to an infection crisis. The most interesting thing is that mango is extremely versatile. It can be eaten fresh, in juices, smoothies, fruit salads, or even as a side in savory dishes. This makes it easy to include in daily life without effort. In the end, mango is not just a delicious tropical fruit. It's a natural, accessible resource full of benefit for anyone who wants to strengthen urinary health and reduce the risk of facing the pain and discomfort of a urinary tract infection. Up to this point, we've talked about 5 powerful superfruits that help strengthen your urinary health and reduce the chances of facing a new crisis. But it's important to understand one thing. Fruits alone don't perform miracles. They work as part of a set of choices that, when combined, create a natural barrier against bacteria. And this is where a few extra prevention tips come in that make all the difference. The first is constant hydration. It may sound obvious, but many people don't drink enough water throughout the day. Without water, there isn't enough urine, and without urine, the body loses its main tool for washing the urinary tract. Staying hydrated is like making sure your bladder never becomes fertile ground for bacteria. Another essential tip is not to hold your urine for too long. When you ignore the urge to go to the bathroom, you're allowing bacteria more time to multiply inside the bladder. It may seem like a harmless habit, but it can be a major trigger for the next infection. It's also worth reinforcing the importance of proper, intimate hygiene. This doesn't mean exaggeration, but simple care. Change underwear frequently, choose fabrics that allow the skin to breathe, and always pay attention to cleaning after using the bathroom. Small details can prevent big problems. Another point many ignore is the connection between a balanced diet and immunity. Fruits, vegetables, quality proteins, and fewer processed foods make the body stronger to fight bacteria. On the other hand, a diet loaded with sugar and ultra-processed products weakens natural defenses, making it easier for infections to repeat. Finally, pay attention to your body's signal. Any unusual discomfort, mild burning, frequent urge to urinate, pain in the lower abdomen, deserves to be taken seriously from the very beginning. The faster you act, the lower the chance the infection has to fully set in. These tips, added to the consumption of the fruits we discussed, can transform your daily life and, most importantly, give you back the peace of living without fear of the next urinary infection crisis. Now, you already know 5 powerful superfruits that can become true allies in preventing urinary tract infections. Did you see how simple, accessible solutions that fit into your daily life can change the way your bladder responds? Many times we think only medications are the solution, but the truth is that prevention starts with small choices. The fruit you eat, the water you drink, the care you take with yourself. And it's not just about physical health. Anyone who has suffered from a urinary tract infection knows the impact goes far beyond pain. It affects mood, confidence, work, social life, and even intimacy. That's why every step taken toward prevention is also a step toward a calmer, freer life. If this video made sense to you, I ask for something very simple. Leave your like. This shows me that the content is helping you, and it makes YouTube deliver this message to more people who need to hear what you just heard today. And don't leave just yet, because knowledge can't stop here. Right now, another video is already appearing on your screen, one that will open your eyes even more to a health detail almost no one talks about, and that may be directly influencing your crisis. Click on it and discover the secret that most people are still ignoring. Your urinary health deserves attention, and the next video will show you something that might be exactly what you needed to hear today. See you there.